Nice to see ya. Wake up. Oh.
What?
What's
What?
on your face?
What? What do you mean what's on my face?
What? There's
Who
a
did
blue
it? Did you do that?
mustache on your face.
Blue? Did you draw on my face? Blue drew on my face.
Bad
You're a
dog.
bad dog. No. My face, my beautiful face. I can't believe you would draw on my face while sleeping. You in trouble. All right, let's focus on learning. Ooh, you want to learn about form? Ooh, that's a fancy element of art. I think you are right. Let's do it. Our next element of art is form. Yay! Form is a three-dimensional figure. Interesting stuff. So let's talk about three-dimensional objects. All right, if I break down the dimensions, one-dimensional, an object would basically be represented with a line. They just have length. Two-dimensional objects have length and width, and three-dimensional objects have length, width, and depth. Here are some basic forms that you see pretty often. You have a cube, a rectangular prism, a sphere, a cone, and a cylinder. So this week we are going to be practicing how to draw some of these basic forms. For this practice, you will need 2 pieces of paper and something to draw with, which would mean a pencil, a marker, crayons, just something that you can draw with. Okay, I have all my things. My paper is the landscape orientation. We are practicing. So I'm going to write basic forms at the top. Alright, so guys, since we were practicing, remember, this is not supposed to be perfect. We're just starting to explore these different forms. So I'm going to start on the left side of my paper with a line that is straight. Okay, so I've drawn a straight line. It's not taking up too much space. Then I'm going to add a new line at the bottom of it that turns. And another line that comes up. And one last line that's going to go over the top. And to help me out, I rotate my paper because it makes it way easier for me to draw. So I have my fourth, I can count, line. Okay, so that's supposed to be a cube, and it's not a cube. It's more like a square right now. So it's two-dimensional. So I'm going to go to the corner, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line that goes back. So I've drawn a diagonal line. Now if I turn it, it kind of looks like a kite. Okay, maybe it's a kite that's going towards the ground right now. I'm going to go to the bottom corner, and I'm going to try to draw that same line lengthwise and angle. Okay, diagonal. Okay, so I'm trying to keep those 2 lines parallel, the 2 new lines that I've just added. Remember, parallel runs side by side. Okay, so we're not using a ruler, so it's not going to be perfect, but they should be going back. Then in my third corner, I'm going to draw another diagonal line. So I have 3 diagonals. Then I'm going to add a new line in the back connecting those 2. And then I'm going to turn my paper and connect those 2. And ta-da! I've got a cube. It's not perfect because I don't have a ruler, but it will do. Cube! Yay! I could draw a cube this way too, where I just draw a square. And that's not a technical square because those sides aren't all even, but we'll count it. And then I do another square where it's just overlapping. Starts a little high, doesn't end halfway, a little bit lower than half. Comes over, and up, and across. 2 squares. And then if I just connect all the corners, then it's like I have a see-through cube. Ooh, cube, so fancy. Alright, so those are 2 different ways you can be drawing a cube, and we could get all technical and add 1-point perspective to the mix, but we're going to keep it simple, okay? So just getting those basic forms practiced. Alright, so I'm going to draw a right cube underneath this one, and next let's try out a rectangular prism. So I start with a basic rectangle, and I do the same things that I did to the other cube, the first one I drew. I'm going to draw diagonal lines going from the corners, and then I'm going to connect them. Okay, so that would be a rectangular prism. So we have length, width, and depth showing. That would be three-dimensional. All right, let's see what other basic forms we can draw. I'm going to do a cylinder next. So I'm going to start with an oval. And my oval is definitely not perfect. But from the edge of the ovals, I'm going to draw a straight line. The top is curved, so the bottom would be curved too. So if you were going into your pantry and you found some cans, those are ovals. And that would be a cylinder. They're rounded. Yay. Alright, let's go for a cone now. So basically I start out drawing a triangle. And at the bottom, instead of making it flat, a straight line, I'm going to add another oval. So I have an oval at the bottom of my pyramid, my triangle I mean, and that's a cone. If I flip it the other direction, it would look like an ice cream cone. Alright, and then next let's try to draw a pyramid. So I draw three lines, connect them at the bottom, and a pyramid. Pyramid. Alright, and last let's try a sphere. Okay, spheres, when I draw it, we have a problem. Oh no, it just looks like a circle. That's a sphere. Wait, how do I tell the difference between a sphere and a circle? Well, I need to add some sort of shading. I need to have some sort of value present. So I'm going to grab a pencil. You could do this with anything. You can do it with crayons or colored pencils. But I'm going to add different tones to make it look more like a sphere. So you see that I am coloring with my pencil. And I'm going to try to push down at the bottom side of the sphere to make it dark. And technically every one of these forms would have value. So it would have some form of shading to make it look three-dimensional. So the typical characteristics of a three-dimensional object is that it creates shadows here and there. Your tones change throughout the object. Okay, so now I've added some shading here and there into my sphere. And now it looks a lot more like a sphere. Hooray. Oh, do you even add a shadow? If I really wanted to go even farther with that. Sphere, sphere, sphere. S-P-H-E-R-E. Sphere. Okay. So these are some of my basic forms. Now that we have practiced, I'm getting my next piece of paper. Here we are. And I'm going to begin towards the middle of my paper. And I've drawn a line that comes down. Slightly diagonal, but not quite. From that bottom line, I'm going to make a curve come out of it. And then I'm going to attach my next slightly diagonal line. So diagonal, curve, and then another diagonal that comes up. And you see me darkening my lines a little bit to make them nice and thick. So we are going to start with a cylinder type of a form. And we're going to be adding some extra things to it to make it fancy, and you'll see what we're making in a second. It's a surprise. From this diagonal line, I'm going to attach a curved line. So I'm attaching them both with a curved line. So the bottom is curved, the top is curved. Then at the end, I'm going to make this curve come up. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Curve up. And then I'm going to add another curve that connects those two curves. Once I have that, I'm going to start in the middle, hovering above those lines. I'm going to make a curved line that comes down, the other side curve that comes down, and curve to connect those, curve down, curve down. What did we make? Can you see what we made? Can you guess? A cupcake! So we're not making a two-dimensional cupcake, we're making it three-dimensional by adding those curved lines, which will add some depth. I've chosen to add a cherry to the top of my cupcake. You do not have to do that. If you want to, go for it. Now I'm going to add some detail lines. So the cupcake wrapper, I'm going to have some straight lines coming down. And remember, those curved lines that we added really give it the cylindrical shape. Well, I should say form, shouldn't I? Form! In the middle of my cupcake, I'm going to have a line that goes all the way to the edge, follow it to the other side, all the way to the edge. And maybe I want to add something extra to my cupcake, like sprinkles. Maybe you want to do something completely different to your cupcake. It's kind of up to you. We're practicing forms. So my friends, what you do to finish this cupcake is up to you. You can color it. You can make it a crazy rainbow cupcake. You can make it very, very colorful, or you can make it simple, like chocolate. I want a chocolate cupcake right now. Hey, actually, you guys probably stop drawing and come bring me a cupcake, right? I think that's a good idea. Anyways, add some details to your cupcake. I added lots of sprinkles, and now I'm going to color it. So show me some colorful, beautiful cupcakes, and take a picture of them and show me on Seesaw. Yeehaw, Seesaw!